Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on Their Fight Story with Igdalia. We have Chip Moraza Pollard with us. Chip, how are you doing today?
Not bad, you?
I'm doing great. So, your background is your new gym.
Yes, it is. A little
How
bit
does it
of it,
feel?
a little bit of the
Yeah, show us a
little,
little tour.
little tour around the spot. You
It
know,
looks amazing.
thank you. A lot of work, but it panned out. So,
Yeah. How long have you been working on getting your gym?
I mean, I've been I've had this in the works for maybe like 4 years now, something around there. I've been like kind of accumulating the stuff to go in here. I've had this ring. I got this ring from Jake Burke maybe like 4 years ago. I got these bags from Sit Ya Tong and these mats from Sit Ya Tong, both maybe like 3 years ago. I got these mirrors from teaching a seminar in Jersey City a couple years back. So it's just, I've had all the stuff. It's just been waiting to find a spot to put it in. So I'm just kind of lucky that I found this place because it ended up being perfect. And yeah, got it going. This is the third week, or just finishing up the third week that we've been open. So we opened up on Halloween. So so far so good.
So, are you the only one teaching at the moment, or do you have other people?
Yep, it's just me. Yeah, I mean, eventually I'll kind of, once the classes get bigger and whatnot, and I have some of my higher level students that have been in the ring too, and that have been training with me for years now, that they can kind of help out when I need them to. But right now it's just me, so it's like a seminar every night. It's a little mini seminar every single night.
Are you planning to get back in the ring?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yay.
Yep.
Next year?
Yeah, I mean, this will be at the end of November. This will be 6 months since my hip surgery. So I had a hip resurfacing at the end of May because my hip was all jacked up. I fought my last fight last summer in line fight with my hip all messed up, and I didn't really tell anybody because I didn't want to, like, I don't know, have an excuse
Mhm.
or have an opponent knowing that I wasn't going to be able to kick him or anything like that. But yeah, I couldn't put on my sock, never mind kick pads or go for a sprint or anything like that. So I went into that fight kind of only being able to low kick and throw punches and elbow a little bit. So it's like kind of was at a little bit of a disadvantage. So I figured probably not going to fight again until I can get back to being able to do everything. Because obviously, I mean, if you know Muay Thai scoring, being able to throw body kicks is a very, very important thing. So it's like if I can't do that, then I'm at a very big disadvantage going into a Muay Thai fight. So now I got the hip all taken care of. I went to Manhattan to get it done. The doctor that did it, Dr. Edwin Sue, he also did Frankie Edgar's hip and Isaiah Thomas, who used to play for the Celtics, and a bunch of other really big name guys. So he did it, and now I'm back to being able to kick and do all kinds of stuff. So now I'm definitely looking forward to getting back to it. A long time that I've been sitting on the sidelines, and
Oh
need
yeah.
to get in there.
Yeah. Speaking of sidelines, like when we were at the last show, was it at the House of Blues in Boston?
I think so. Yeah, for
Yeah,
Lions.
you were like right behind me, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like I was just trying to figure out, like, I wonder like what's going through your mind. Like you want to be in the ring and then you're trying to like coach other people, and then you're like getting upset because I could hear you hear it in your voice.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing in the world to, I mean, to do any sport and have to be on the sidelines when you really like you want to be out there on the court or in the match or in the ring or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's like it's tough, especially when during this time period I still was obviously training, and I haven't really stopped training aside from stopping to rehab my hip and everything like that. Shout out to TK for the physical therapy and all that kind of stuff. But aside from that, like while I was getting ready to do my last fight, even though I wasn't able to do certain things, I'm like, okay, I can do certain other things. So now I
Mhm.
have to really use the brain and figure out how to still be effective. And so I felt like I was kind of upgrading the software,
Mm-hmm.
even though the hardware wasn't able to kind of keep up with a lot of different things. So now that the hardware is back to being able to do stuff, I feel like I'm a upgraded, more knowledgeable, more a little bit kind of next level of what I was before, so it's like, but when you're watching that and it's like you haven't been in there, all you've been doing is studying and stuff like that, and now you're sitting there watching it, you're like, oh, he should be doing this or she should be doing that, or no, why did they not judge that the way that it should have been judged, or this, I mean, and then it's just, you want to almost get the video game
Yes.
control and
You're
start
like, oh,
pressing the
jump, jump.
buttons to throw the kick, throw the kick. Why are you not throwing the kick? But yeah, so it's but I mean, it is what it is.
In your last fight, how did you mentally, how were you when you went in? And then how are
Mhm.
you able to just make sure you're good?
Well, that one, it was tricky because one, obviously having the hip and whatnot. Two, it was my first fight since January 2020. So this was July 2021. And after January 2020, obviously the pandemic happened. So nobody was fighting for the most part. So not being able to do it for so long and then finally getting an opportunity, but in that time span, the hip had just went downhill drastically because I didn't really have that problem in that last fight. So now coming back after such a long layoff without being able to do everything that I normally would do, never mind the fact that the fight was in Sicily, and because of the kind of restrictions because of the pandemic and stuff like that, I ended up going by myself. So none of my usual corners or anything like that came with me. So like when it came to cutting weight, I didn't really have a lot of weight to cut, but I was just hitting the heavy bag and that was it. And then before the fight, I wasn't hitting pads or anything like that. I got my hands wrapped by another fighter's corner, and they wrapped my hands, and then they were the only other American team on the card. So they were she was the fight before mine. It was Andy's team. So they wrapped my hands, and then they had to go out there for her. So then I just started shadow boxing and get warmed up and stuff like that. And then I went out, and they just kind of hopped in my corner. But I didn't really, I mean, I didn't know them. They didn't know me. They don't know my game. I don't know them. So it's like I ended up kind of just in between rounds making my own little adjustments and kind of, okay, he's hitting me with a lot of knees. How do I not make him hit me with a lot of knees? And I'm okay, maybe I should start doing this. And then, I mean, it ended up working out, and it was a close fight, but so yeah, so there was a lot of things going in there, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the end of the day, Muay Thai, like I try to be as true to the sport as I can, and a lot of times in Thailand, that's the case. Like you take a fight and they don't know like who they're fighting, or it might be supposed to be one weight and then it ends up being a different weight, or they don't have, like, if you ever watch there's an American Muay Thai fighter. She lives in Thailand, Sylvie Von Douglas,
Mm-hmm.
and she has awesome content, and she does a lot of voiceovers of her fights. She's had almost 300 fights now, I think like 270 something or whatever. But she's a very small fighter, but she's a beast, and she fights girls that are way bigger than hers. And in her voiceovers, she'll show up and she'll be like, "Oh yeah, we were supposed to fight at this, but now it's at this weight, and the person's 20 pounds heavier than me, but." Whatever, it's just kind of the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't like, oh no, I can't take the fight. I was like, good, this is Muay Thai. This is good
Mm-hmm.
experience to be able to go out there and see if I can get it done by myself, even with like kind of the deck stacked against me a little bit. And I mean, it was a good fight. Like I fought Jacob Benko, who's a really good fighter. He's a beast. He's like 6'7". He's a savage, and like he's very well known on the world kind of stage. So to be able to have all that going, like not in my favor, and still make it a very close fight that I lost by a split decision, I mean, I'll take it. I'm not saying. And at the end of the day, Muay Thai, you're supposed to lose at some point. So it's
Yeah.
not like it's the end of the world because you lose. It's like you're not supposed to win all the fights. If you win all your fights, it's almost like you're not fighting people of quality. So that's kind of like how I was thinking about it. I mean, I wasn't planning on losing going in there for sure. I didn't think like, oh, I'm gonna like, I'll figure out a way to win. And in hindsight, I wouldn't have done it any different. I would have still took it. I still would have went out there solo, like, it's just part of the story
So that was your first loss.
in Muay Thai.
In yeah, in Muay Thai. How did it feel? Because it's like you were dealing with a lot. We were all dealing with the pandemic.
Hmm.
You go and fight without your team. Then there's a language barrier.
I mean, so I had fought like 20 pro MMA fights before switching over to
Mhm.
Muay Thai. And a lot of those I lost, like people used to take me down and hold
Mhm.
me down and win decisions and stuff like that. Or I've got submitted a couple times. I got TKO'd a couple times. So it's like I knew at some point doing Muay Thai I was going to lose. You're not gonna, like I said, you're not gonna go if you're fighting at a high level, which I'm fighting some of the best guys in the world in my weight class,
Mhm.
you're not gonna win every single fight. It's not gonna happen. But it was cool because when I switched over from MMA to Muay Thai, I got to take all the experience of being in fights at a high level against high level like competitors, even though it's a different sport and it's like it's a way different game. Um, like just having that cage experience that I had, the fight experience, and like taking losses and winning big fights, losing fights, like that's experience, So
Mhm.
then when I switched over, now I got to start fresh, 0-0,
Mhm.
and that's almost like getting the old wily veteran, like, oh, if only I known these things I know now when I was 20 or whatever. It's like, okay, now I have all this experience, and now I get to start over from scratch, and kind of like now it's like, all right, if I lose, okay, whatever, I've lost before. It's like I know how to handle a loss. It's like sure, and it was the first time I'd lost in Muay Thai, but I mean, losing a fight is losing a fight. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not like I got my ass whooped for 5 rounds or anything
Mhm.
like that. It was a good fight, and I mean, I've gotten beat up for a whole fight. I've gotten stopped. I've gotten
Yeah.
like I've lost decisions that I felt that should have went my way and all that kind of stuff. And I've had wars and all that kind of stuff. So it's like when you go through all that and you have that experience, at the end of the day, winning or losing, it's like, all right, obviously you always want to win. You always plan on winning, but you learn how to lose as well. You learn that losing isn't the worst thing in the world. Like for me at least, I'm trying to test my skills. That's why I'm getting in there. I want to see like I'm just testing myself. I'm just testing the stuff that I'm working on, the stuff that I'm practicing, trying to like for Muay Thai, I'm trying to like kind of get better at playing the Thai style game and being true to the sport, and not just going in there like an unorthodox MMA fighter that's just doing striking. So it's like I'm trying to just kind of, figure it out every single time. So you're gonna lose, you're gonna win. It's all right, get back in there and learn from that and do better next time.
Yeah, I ask because it's so important for people to hear and understand the process. Yes, you're an amazing fighter. It's like I want people to actually hear that yes, this does happen and it's not the end of it. You use it to learn and to get better. And look at you, you had all these different obstacles in front of you that if the circumstances were different, the outcome would have been completely different. But yet you still managed to find a way to get through each and every single one of them. You didn't tell anybody. You were dealing with it on your own. You didn't give up. You didn't use it as an excuse. All you did was use it to get better and better and better. And look at you now. Like you have your school, you have your team. You're teaching that to your students as well, because now they see, hey, coach showed us this, and he was presented with these obstacles. He was in pain. He was going through this, but yet he still found a way to use all of his other skills to get the outcome that he was looking for. So you never gave up, and that's a great example, not only for your fans, for your students, for your fighters, for everybody that's looking and watching you, grow and prosper. And now we get to see you again soon in the ring, so it's like freaking awesome.
Exactly.
There has been a question. Well, I have a few questions, but what is your take on Muay Thai fighters that want to fight MMA, or MMA fighters whose main art is Muay Thai, but they barely use it in the cage?
So, I mean, when I was doing MMA, I was known as like one of the best strikers around. And everybody was like, oh, Chip has really good Muay Thai. If I compare that to what I know now, it's almost like you don't know what you don't know until you know it. You know, it's like MMA and Muay Thai are very, very different, but also kind of similar in the ways that, like, one, you got to think like you almost have to learn and understand Muay Thai in and of itself before you can kind of like see how it's different, because a lot of people will think that, like, even at MMA schools, they're like, okay, today we're doing Muay Thai sparring, and all it is just the same sparring they do all the time, just with no takedowns.
Mm-hmm.
And they think that just because we're just punching and kneeing and kicking and maybe using elbows a little bit or whatever, that okay, that just means we're doing Muay Thai, which is not the case. Just because you're throwing punches and kicks doesn't mean you're doing Muay Thai. It's like, yeah, it's the strikes that you're using, but it's also like Muay Thai has a very unique rhythm to it, a very unique pace. The scoring is super unique, and a lot of people, I get very like aggravated now that I look at like comments on YouTube and stuff like that of fights, and like, oh, this person got robbed or whatever. And it's like, no, that was a clear win for the other person. Because, and even sometimes when I go to fights like locally, or I mean anywhere in the United States, Muay Thai isn't always scored the way that it should be, and the way that like real traditional Muay Thai schools teach it, like, or like you would see in Thailand or like the UK or stuff like that. It's like some strikes score higher than other strikes. Like a big body kick scores way higher than somebody punching. You know what I'm saying? If you're just letting go a lot of punches, but they're not really doing anything, those punches aren't scoring. If you're, you know, hitting a big long spearing knee on somebody, and that, like, that's a really high scoring technique, versus somebody just throwing low kicks to the leg. If it's not buckling my leg or showing an effect, those low kicks shouldn't even score that high. You know, it's like there's a lot of little intricacies in Thai scoring, which I can kind of go on and on about. So it's like that kind of, because of the way it's scored and because of the weapons that are available, the fight is conducted in a certain way. That's why you'll see Muay Thai fighters kind of like almost standing in one spot, and like people might think they're being flat-footed, but it's because I don't need to be dipping and dodging and dancing all over the place, because at the end of the day, to the judges, that looks like I'm running away. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the whole big thing. But the essence of Muay Thai, in my eyes, in my opinion, I think makes it a great like base for MMA, is that nothing scores in Muay Thai unless it has an effect, unless it hurts. You know what I'm saying? Like if I throw a little flippy kick and a couple little light punches that don't do anything, that's not really scoring anything. Meanwhile, if I throw a big solid kick, even to the arms, like people MMA, they think, oh, I blocked the kick. That's not blocking a kick. I'm going to try to break your arm in half if you just let me kick you in the arms, and that score is very high as well. On the flip side of it, I want to be able to be there in front of you so I can throw my own strikes, but I also want to be there in front of you and not let you hit me with anything that hurts. So I have to be balanced enough to not get punched. I have to be balanced and right in front of you to be able to lift my legs to block kicks, or dodge them or whatever without running away, so I can strike back. So basically, if I'm standing in front of you and I'm balanced enough to and aware enough to make it so it's very difficult for you to hit me with any shot that actually hurts me and does damage, because in Muay Thai, that's what scores. Apply that to any other combat sport. Apply that to kickboxing. Apply that to MMA. Okay, now, all right, I'm not concerned if you hit me with a little flippy arm kick. Like, it's not going to hurt, you know? But if I see you actually load up for a big kick, okay, I'm going to dodge it, and I'm going to kick you back, or I'm going to like defend your punches, and I don't have to run away to do it. I can still steadily put that pressure. Obviously, takedowns, like somebody actually shooting a double leg, isn't a part of Muay Thai, so they don't have to worry about that. But it's like, if you have that base and like you're playing the game, you're actually like doing Muay Thai, like real Muay Thai, all you got to do is start learning a little bit of wrestling too. And obviously you have to train jiu-jitsu, and you have to learn like how to put all that stuff together. You can't just do Muay Thai and just go in there, just like you can't just box and go into MMA fight, just like you can't just do MMA and go into a Muay Thai fight or a boxing match. You know what I'm saying? It goes both ways. But it's like, if you take somebody that has all those kind of those fundamental ideas, and you teach them some takedown defense as well, in addition to the Thai clinch that I wish I had known all the stuff I know now when I did MMA, because I would have been killing people. But it's like, if I'm balanced enough to block a kick with either leg, and I'm balanced enough to dodge a punch or a kick, okay, then I'm balanced enough to shoot if I learn how to get that adapted into my game. That's why you see some of the best kickboxers in the world are guys that come from Muay Thai, because it's like, it's so effective, and that's why it's the most effective stand-up striking art at all of them. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so like, it's I can use it however I want to use it. If I want to punch, I can punch. If I want to kick, I can kick. If I want to get in close and grapple you and elbow you and knee you and trip you, I can do that too. Now it's like, if you teach me a little takedown defense, how to whizzer, how to sprawl, how to do all that, now you're dealing with a very dangerous person. There's a couple MMA fighters. Like, the first one that comes to my mind is in the UFC, Loma Lookboonmee, and she's a Thai girl. And I remember, I don't watch that much MMA these days, just because I watch it. I'm like, why are they not doing this? Or why are they? Because now I can't even. I see all these just glaring things that they could be doing if they did Muay Thai, and I'm like, oh my god, you could just literally chop that dude's arm off. He's not gonna let you. He's gonna let you kick him. Like, just kick him, bang.
Yeah.
But anyways, um, so it's like, but when I watch this one chick, like, and she's a beast. She fought Muay. She's Thai, obviously, and she had a lot of Muay Thai fights. She was a Muay Thai champion. And then I see her using like really good Thai clinch and playing the game, and it's like, and seeing how effective it is. It's I think it's one thing that MMA fighters are starting to do more. I see videos of like Liam Harrison and like Andy Housen and whatnot, and they'll be holding pads, and they're holding like solid Muay Thai pads. A person clearly knows how to do Muay Thai, but then they're getting ready for an MMA fight, and I'm like, oh my god, that person's probably going to kill people, because I'm sure they train jits, and I'm sure they get their takedown defense. But it's like, if you can get your striking to the point where you could compete in Muay Thai and actually do real Muay Thai and learn how to not get kicked in the leg, and how to smash people's legs up, how to smash people's arms up, how to like be calm, being right there in the pocket and not having to run away and dip and dodge and try to duck your head and get kneed in the face like Frankie just did. It's like, people would be way more deadly than they are now, but it's like, it's a lot of different things you have to get good at in MMA, obviously. So it's not like you can spend a ton of time just getting good at one thing. That's just the nature of the beast, though. I feel like training real Muay Thai is kind of like an not underlooked, but underutilized thing that a lot of MMA fighters would do well to do more of.
Yeah, I think it also has to do with the some schools, they'll use the term Muay Thai, and it's not. I now say this in every interview that I have. When I first started training, I went to the school and they supposedly taught Muay Thai, but all I know, it was not Muay Thai. Not Muay Thai, and it was more cardio kickboxing.
Yeah.
And the only, because growing up, and I saw Bloodsport, and I was like, this is not the same thing. Like, okay, like maybe I'm missing something, or maybe they're just making it up on TV and they're making it more than it has to be. And then I go to Lion Fights, and I'm like, seriously, like, this is what I've been looking for. You know what I mean? I think you were fighting that night. I think Joe was fighting that night, and I was just like, this is what I've been missing my whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people use the term Muay Thai to get people into their school, and it's just not, it's not fair, and it's not right. As a fighter, what it takes to become a fighter?
I mean, getting punched in the face in front of people can't be like, oh my god, I never want to do that. Obviously, you got to have a certain mind state and enable, like, in order to get in there and risk getting beat up in front of a crowd, or like getting locked in a cage or a ring with somebody that's trained to kind of do the same thing to you. So it's not for everybody. Like, a lot of people, obviously, any kind of martial arts is a great workout, especially something like a Muay Thai. You're using your whole body, you're punching, you're kicking, your knees, elbows, you're getting in there and grappling. It's cardio, it's strength training, it's everything. Some people want to do it just for a workout. Some people, want to learn how to defend themselves. Some people really are interested in the art itself and kind of are like just delving into that culture and whatnot, and they just love it. Which that's all great reasons to train. But then there's the few people that, okay, I want to get in there and test myself, and it's like, that's the the mentality. It's like, okay, you're testing yourself against another person. And some people, they start training and they might think that they never, I don't want to fight, but then they get into it and they learn more and they learn more and they learn more. And then they learn how to spar, and then they're doing this and they start getting the bug, and they want to get their techniques even better and better. And that's when they're like, hey, you know what? I think I want to get in there and test all this stuff that I'm learning against somebody, and see what it's like. Just see what it's like in the ring. And then, I mean, some people will just do it that one time, and then they'll be like, yeah, that's too much for me. Like the nerves before the fight, and sitting there in the locker room, getting your hands wrapped, knowing that you're about to go in there. It's like not even the actual fight itself, but just having that date circled on the calendar for a couple months. It's like, and just knowing you have to get ready for it. There's no escape once you're in there. That mental part of it is the biggest thing. It's not the physical thing. It's not how good of like an athlete you are or anything like that. You can train hard enough to be in shape, and you can, if you're at a good gym and you learn the techniques and you learn how to do everything right, then you're going to be able to handle yourself when you're in there. You at the end of the day, it's more or less the same thing you should be doing every day in the gym. But the only thing that I tell my students, it's like it's all the rest of it, cutting weight and selling tickets and getting your medicals done, and having some days that you're like, oh, I can't wait to go. And then other days you're like, oh man, I wish this was just over with already. And other days like, man, I don't know, this dude is really tough. And other days, I'm going to smash this guy. It's like having that emotional kind of roller coaster. That's the main thing, So it's like you have to be able to kind of keep an even keel throughout all that. You can't, like some people, the highs are too high, the lows are too low. I mean, you got to kind of, like if somebody ends up sticking with it, they try that one fight and then they see what it's like. They do another one, they do another one, they do another one. It's like the more you do, the more you learn how to handle all that stuff. You learn how to handle the nerves. You learn how to not freak out if one day you just feel like you're terrible and you had a bad training session and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to get killed or whatever. It's like you got to learn how to just kind of like take a breath, and just know that if you train hard enough and if you study enough and if you like kind of focus on your technique and you focus on your conditioning and all that kind of stuff that your coaches tell you to do, that you're going to be all right. As long as you kind of just, another thing I tell my students, I'm like, think in the gym, like while you're sparring, while you're hitting the bag, while you're doing pads and drilling and all that stuff, think until you don't have to think about thinking. That means when you're in the ring, you should have drilled stuff to the point where you don't even have to think about it. It's just second nature. It just happens, certain techniques or defenses or whatever it is. So now you have the luxury of going in there and almost just putting yourself on autopilot and not having to worry about like, oh no, what am I supposed to do when this happens, when this happens, when this happens? If you've trained it to the point where you don't even have to think about it and your body just does it, then that takes out a lot of the stress of like, oh no, I'm going to have to remember that this happens when this happens. Like, nah, don't worry about it. You're like, at this point, we're on fight day. You're going to do whatever your body knows how to do. Whatever it is you do in the gym, whenever you're sparring or clinching or whatever it is that you do in the gym is what you're going to do in the ring more often than not, unless somebody like freezes up or unless sometimes people are way better in the ring than they are in the gym. Sometimes that's always a pleasant surprise, but it's like, as far as all that, just like keeping that strong mental kind of that mental game, because that's the most important part to it. It's like you don't have to be the fastest, strongest guy in the gym, but it's like if you can study hard, if you work hard, and you have that kind of mentality for it, then you'll.
The mental part of it is key, and a lot of people forget that, and it's just like that's why like a lot of times when I'm at the shows and we're at weigh-ins and I see a fighter and I'm taking their pictures and I see them like something isn't like they're not focused. You know what I mean? I try to like be like, hey, kind of like center them and bring them back so like they get back on track, because they can be physically, on point. They could have made weight. They could have done everything, but if their mental state is not where it needs to be, like that mindset, if your mindset isn't where it's supposed to be and you just turn, everything's just going to fall. You need to stick with it. What is the most difficult part about being a fighter?
I mean, probably all that stuff I was just saying about like, kind of not freaking out. But aside from that, I mean, obviously cutting weight. Like, I don't like not being able to eat certain things because I usually eat whatever I want. Obviously, that's like aside from the mental part, because that's obviously like number one. It's the grind. If you want to be a fighter, then if you're getting ready for a fight, then obviously you got to sacrifice certain things. You can't be eating ice cream every night or cookies or whatever. It's like all stuff that I like to do. But that's why I fight at Cruiserweight. But just and that also like kind of drains you mentally. Like I remember back in the day when I fought MMA, I would fight at welterweight at 170, and now I mean I weigh like 200 pounds. I'm not cutting to 170 anymore, and I don't have to worry about people laying on top of me in the ring. So it's like I'll fight the biggest guy they got. He can only punch and kick me and clinch, and I feel like I'll do all right. But like when I used to cut that low, the weeks and months leading up to it, it's like I'm almost more thinking about food than I am like fighting, and it's almost like draining because I'm sitting there watching Man versus Food on TV and just thinking about all the things I can't eat versus now I don't cut like a ton of weight, but even still, like you can't eat whatever it is that you want. Now I'm better at it just after so many years of doing it. I know what I can do and what I can't do. I always used to think that like, okay, if I now I don't have to worry about the food as much. Now I can just think about fighting more and think about Muay Thai more, versus like, oh, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, I need to eat this. And it's like that's a miserable thing for pretty much every fighter. They'll all tell you that. Then obviously like just the grind of getting ready to fight, it's like you got to be in the best shape that you can possibly be in because that's the one thing you can control. The only thing you can control in there is how good of a shape you're in. If you haven't been putting in the work and you haven't been doing your cardio and all that kind of stuff, then it's like the last thing you want to happen is to be like gassed out in the middle of a fight. You can't call timeout. You can't sub somebody else in. You know what I'm saying? You gotta like, all right, like, what are you gonna do about it now? Now it's not too much you can do because if you're that gassed, you can try to dig as deep as you want and there's just no fuel left in the tank. So it's like making sure you're doing the hard work to get ready. You know what I'm saying? It's like in my gym I try to make it kind of like Thailand. So it's like every single day people are doing kick ladders. So like 1 kick, 2 kick, 3 kick, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all in on the pads every single night. Everybody's clinching every night. We're sparring every single night, like Thai style. But like just to like make sure people are, and then obviously if somebody has a fight coming up, then we take it up a little bit, to make sure they're ready to roll. But even me, like that's when if I have a fight coming up, then I'll start getting my road work in and all that. And luckily, I kind of always have had good cardio, even just naturally. But I'll amp it up. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm more or less my own coach. I have my own little team around me and everything too. Like Crew Massey up at Seattle, me and him always get together whenever I have a fight, and we'll just be down in the basement for pretty much an hour straight just doing pad work. We don't really like set a number of rounds or anything like that. We'll just be going, rest for 30 seconds, go again, rest for 30 seconds, go again, for literally like a whole hour, just banging pads, but it's like, that's the grind that you have to do, so that's another tough part. So it's like staying committed, staying like mentally strong about it. And then just staying like, even after the fight, especially in between fights, that's when a lot of people will disappear from the gym, so like I've never been that way because I like doing this. Doing this is fun for me, and I'm always trying to get myself better at something, so it's like, especially right after a fight, oh, I didn't do this enough, or I want to start being able to block left kicks and get my leg up without having to think about it. Now I'm going to really focus on making sure I can do that, because that goes into what I said before. Whatever I do in the gym is what I'm going to do in the ring. So if I see a tape of me doing something that I don't like in a fight and something I want to correct, I'm like, okay, now I really have to stress that I'm going to fix that and put a stress on that in my day-to-day training until I can do it without thinking. So it's like, but that's the in-between fight type stuff. So you can't be a fighter that just shows up like when they have a fight coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody will show up a month or two before a fight, just train for their fight, fight, and then you won't see them until it's time for them to have another fight. It's like, no, you're not going to get better that way. The times you get better is that time in between. It's like you don't have to be obviously going as hard as you are when you're getting ready for a fight. You don't have to be, I mean, have your cookies and your burgers and stuff like that. Like I'll eat whatever I want, but then guess what? I'm the only one that's not taking a rest when we're sparring 10 rounds, 12 rounds, 13 rounds, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like finding that balance and staying consistent. So it's like, and a lot of people like seem to not be able to do that or not willing to do that. So, and I think it's more so the willingness part, because if you're able to get in the ring or the cage or whatever it is for a fight, then you should be able to stay consistent and keep on trying to get yourself better. And it's like, if you don't enjoy coming in and doing what you do, then, I don't really know what to tell you.
Before we conclude, is there anything else that you would like to share?
No, I mean, come on down to Surgeon Muay Thai if you want to learn some authentic Muay Thai. If you want to learn all the hows and the whys, and some people aren't as familiar with the sport as others. Everybody usually, in this country at least, finds their way to Muay Thai from first becoming a fan of MMA. But like I was saying earlier, it's very different from MMA, and sometimes people watch Muay Thai and they don't necessarily understand why it looks the way it looks or why they're doing certain things that they're doing. And I mean, I'm just happy that now I finally have a spot here where I can try to like really bring people into learning and appreciating and spreading the love of like real authentic Muay Thai. So I mean, no matter if you're an MMA fighter or fan or whatever, some people might want to end up switching over, if they start coming in here enough. But Plymouth, Mass, Surgeon Muay Thai, come on down, try a class out, see how you like it. It's like a little seminar every night. Every night it's me teaching. And like I said, I want to make sure everybody gets as good as they possibly can get. So the second you step through this door, I'm going to try to like fill you with as much knowledge and as much skill as I possibly can. So it's just on whoever shows up and how much work you want to put in and how much you want to be here. And I won't stop filling your head with stuff until it's like pouring out your ears. So, yeah.
Where is it located? Where in Plymouth, and what are the hours?
Right behind BJ's, Camelot Park. But yeah, and we have classes Monday through Friday night. I have an open gym Saturday morning. But yeah, every night we're over here, so you can pop on down. I have the schedule on the Instagram, so feel free to venture over.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.